Welcome to my channel Sell a Buzz. Audie Murphy really hated him more than anyone. Audie Murphy was born Audie Leon Murphy on June 20th, 1925 in the small town of Kingston, Hunt County, Texas. He was the son of Emmett Barry Murphy and Josie Belle Killian. They were a poor farming family trying to raise many kids during the hard years between World War I and the Great Depression. Audie was the seventh of 12 children. His childhood was filled with being poor, unstable, and very hard. His family lived a tough life in country, Texas, often not having enough food and things they needed. But he got from his Irish family background a toughness, being independent, and being strong that would help him later in war. His first names, Audie Leon, had a special meaning. He was named after two men who had been kind to his mother during her hard times, men who looked out for her when she was left alone by her husband for long periods of time. His father, Emmett, was not reliable and often gone, coming and going from the house before finally leaving the family for good. This leaving made Josie Belle have to raise her large group of kids mostly by herself, with Audie and his brothers and sisters taking on jobs that were too big for their age. This broken family life made young Audie grow up fast and build an iron will to stay alive. Even though home was unstable, Murphy went to elementary school while growing up around the towns of Farmersville, Greenville, and Celeste, all in northeast Texas. His schooling, however, didn't last long. By the time he got to 5th grade, he had to quit because the family really needed money. Audie, even though he was just a boy, took on the load of work. He found a job as a cotton picker, working long hours in the very hot Texas fields for very little pay. These years taught him not only a never-give-up work attitude, but also an understanding for the struggles of regular Americans during the Depression time. In 1941, something terrible happened when his mother died, leaving the already weak family even more broken apart. Her death crushed Murphy, who had been very close to her. With no stable home to keep them together, Audie's younger brothers and sisters were put in children's homes and orphanages, splitting the family up. To stay alive, Audie moved through different odd jobs in the town of Greenville, doing anything, from farm work to office tasks to put together a living. It was during these years of not knowing what would happen that he began to dream of a way out. A chance not only to help his brothers and sisters, but also to prove himself as more than just a poor farm boy. With World War II getting bigger, and the United States getting ready to join, Murphy saw a chance in the armed forces. Even though he was still very young, he was determined to join to help his family and serve his country. At first, the military said no because of his small body and young looks. He was barely over 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighed less than 120 pounds. But his never giving up finally worked. And on June 30th, 1942, he was officially accepted into the U.S. Army, setting up one of the most amazing military careers in American history. By 1943, after basic training and advanced infantry teaching, Murphy was assigned to Company B, 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. His first overseas job took him to French Morocco in North Africa, where he learned about the harsh realities of war. The heat, sickness, and unforgiving land were as much an enemy as the Axis forces. But Murphy quickly got a reputation as a soldier who was serious, disciplined, and never backing down when facing danger. In July 1943, showing leadership and skill under pressure, Murphy was promoted to corporal as his division got ready for the important Allied invasion of Sicily. This campaign was very important in loosening Axis control in the Mediterranean. By August 1943, the 7th Infantry Regiment captured and secured the vital port of Messina, marking the success of the campaign. Murphy's bravery during these actions earned him more recognition, and before the year was out, he was promoted. Again, this time to sergeant. The following year, in August 1944, Murphy distinguished himself during Operation Dragoon, the Allied invasion of southern France. Here, his courage and smart fighting became even more clear. He fought the Nazis with never-ending determination, often risking his life far beyond what was expected. His actions earned him a promotion to 2nd lieutenant, and he and his unit, the 1st Battalion 15th Infantry Regiment, were together honored with the Presidential Unit Citation, one of the highest awards for military units. In September 1944, during the Allied push into northeastern France, The 3rd Infantry Division faced fierce German resistance. Murphy's never-backing-down courage under fire stood out. Time and again he put himself in danger from enemy fire to lead his men, save wounded friends, or fight back against counterattacks. His bravery did not go unnoticed as he began to collect a long list of medals and decorations, each one showing his valor. By 1945, he had made his reputation solid during the battle for the Colmar Pocket, one of the most important fights in France. Leading one of the most important counterattacks of the campaign, he showed extraordinary heroism, personally directing fire and leading his men against overwhelming odds. His valor once again earned him promotion, this time to 1st Lieutenant, and he was appointed a liaison officer called back from the front lines to headquarters. Though safer than combat, this position showed the high respect in which he was held by his bosses. After the war, Murphy's military career continued in different ways. In 1950, he was commissioned as a captain in the 36th Infantry Division of the Texas National Guard. But his life was about to take a surprising turn. That same year, Hollywood came calling. Already celebrated as a war hero, Murphy began acting in war films, where his real experiences brought realness to the screen. The peak of his film career came with To Hell and Back 1955, a movie version of his own autobiography book of the same title. Playing himself, Murphy gave audiences a look into the true grit of combat, as only he could show it. The film became one of Universal Pictures' most successful releases of the decade. Meanwhile, his military duties continued. In 1956, he was promoted to the rank of Major in the U.S. Army Reserve, a recognition of his continued service even as his Hollywood career grew. A decade later, he was discharged from the Texas National Guard, though he remained active in military circles and committed to veterans' causes. Finally, in May 1969, after nearly 3 decades of combined active and reserve duty, Murphy formally retired from the U.S. Army. By then, he had left behind a legacy unmatched by most. The most decorated American soldier of World War II, a man whose medals and honors included the Medal of Honor, the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, and many more. In 1949, at the height of his early fame as both a decorated war hero and a rising Hollywood actor, Audie Murphy entered into his first marriage with actress Wanda Hendricks. Wanda was a talented young starlet in the film industry, and their union initially drew considerable attention from the public and the media, who viewed it as a glamorous match between a celebrated war veteran and a promising actress. However, despite the excitement that surrounded their relationship, the marriage proved to be troubled almost from the start. Murphy carried with him the lingering effects of his wartime experiences, including the mental scars of battle and what would later be recognized as post-traumatic stress disorder. This, combined with the pressure of his budding Hollywood career and the demands of public life, made it difficult for him to find stability at home. The couple's relationship became strained, and within just 2 years their marriage ended in divorce. The separation was painful, but it showed the personal struggles Murphy faced as he tried to balance fame, personal happiness, and the shadows of his military past. Later that same year, Murphy found love again, this time with Pamela Archer, a woman outside the world of Hollywood's bright lights and constant watching. Pamela worked as an airline stewardess, and unlike his first marriage to a fellow entertainer, this relationship offered Murphy a sense of normalcy and grounding that he deeply needed. Pamela's steady and caring nature proved to be a stabilizing force in his life, and she stood by him through both the triumphs and challenges of his career. Their marriage marked a turning point for Murphy, giving him a chance to focus on building a family and enjoying a measure of peace away from the public eye. Together, Audie and Pamela had 2 sons, and fatherhood became one of the most meaningful parts of Murphy's life. Their first child, Terrence Michael Terry Murphy, was a source of great pride to him. And their second son, James Shannon Skipper Murphy, completed the family. Despite his demanding work schedule in Hollywood and the lingering inner turmoil he carried from the war, Murphy made a sincere effort to be present in his children's lives. He found joy in spending time with them, providing guidance, and passing on lessons shaped by both hardship and resilience. To Murphy, his sons represented hope, continuity, and a reason to push forward through the difficulties he faced. Audie Murphy, the most decorated American soldier of World War II and later a Hollywood actor, was known for his honesty, bluntness, and refusal to flatter people he didn't respect. While Murphy worked alongside many actors in Hollywood, some of whom he admired, there was one man in the industry whom he claimed to dislike more than anyone else: legendary actor James Cagney. His opinion about Cagney was unusually sharp, especially since Murphy was often diplomatic when speaking about his colleagues. But in private conversations, Murphy reportedly made his feelings very clear. Murphy's dislike was rooted in what he saw as arrogance and condescension. According to those who knew him, Murphy believed that Cagney, despite his immense fame, looked down on people who hadn't come from the same acting background or circle in Hollywood. Murphy had always been treated as something of an outsider. He wasn't classically trained, didn't grow up in the theater, and had no formal education in the arts. He came from poverty in rural Texas, rose to fame through his wartime heroics, and found his way into the movie industry largely because of his war record rather than a passion for acting. Murphy once remarked, "Cagney acted like the rest of us didn't belong in the same business. He never thought much of soldiers who became actors. To him, we were amateurs playing at something he owned." The clash between Murphy and Cagney was also cultural. Cagney was born in New York City, raised in the rough neighborhoods where he learned toughness early, and he carried that street-smart, fast-talking personality into his film roles. Murphy, by contrast, was a quiet, humble Texan who preferred honesty over bravado. While audiences loved Cagney's explosive energy and cocky swagger on screen, Murphy saw it differently. "I never could stand that mugging he did," Murphy once said of Cagney's acting style. "He played the same tough guy in every picture. To me, it was just phony. Maybe the public bought it, but I didn't." What truly seemed to set Murphy against Cagney, however, was the man's attitude toward the war and toward veterans. Cagney had not served in the military during World War II, something that Murphy never outright condemned in public, but he quietly judged men who had avoided service while others fought. Cagney faced rumors during the 1940s about alleged ties to communist sympathies and questions about his patriotism, though he was eventually cleared by the House Un-American Activities Committee. Murphy, a man who had risked his life countless times on the battlefield, had little patience for those who, in his eyes, questioned America's values or failed to back up their country during its darkest hour. "I didn't care how famous he was," Murphy said. "All I knew was he wasn't there when it mattered. I buried too many friends to pretend that didn't matter to me." The tension wasn't just ideological, it was also professional. Murphy once revealed that he found Cagney dismissive when they crossed paths in Hollywood social circles. According to Murphy, Cagney treated him like a novelty, a war hero trying to act, rather than a real performer. "He called me soldier boy more than once, and not in a friendly way," Murphy recalled. "I didn't mind being called a soldier, that's what I was. But he said it like it was an insult. That told me everything I needed to know about him." For Murphy, respect was everything. He admired actors who treated others with dignity, no matter their background. Stars like James Stewart himself, a decorated Air Force pilot, earned Murphy's admiration because they combined talent with humility. But with Cagney, Murphy felt there was only ego. He was always acting, even off the screen. Murphy once commented, "You never knew who the real man was. Maybe there wasn't one." Over time, Murphy's dislike of Cagney hardened into outright disdain. Even when others in Hollywood praised Cagney as one of the greatest actors of his generation, Murphy refused to join in. In interviews, when asked about Cagney, Murphy would either change the subject or offer only short responses. In private, he was more direct. "I hated him more than anyone in Hollywood," Murphy once confided to a friend. "It wasn't jealousy. I never wanted to be like him. I just couldn't stand what he stood for. To me, he was everything false about the business." This hatred was unusual for Murphy, who rarely allowed personal feelings to color his public life. Most of the time, he avoided Hollywood feuds, preferring to keep his circle small and loyal. But with James Cagney, he made an exception. Whether it was resentment over Cagney's dismissive attitude, his avoidance of military service, or his style of self-promotion, Audie Murphy simply couldn't forgive him. For the rest of his life, whenever the subject of James Cagney came up, Murphy never softened his stance. While audiences and critics continued to hail Cagney as one of the greats, Murphy carried with him a deep personal bitterness that never faded. His words summed it up plainly. Some people in Hollywood I respected, some I didn't care much about. But Cagney, I truly hated him more than anyone. On 28 May 1971, Murphy was killed when the private plane in which he was a passenger crashed into the side of a mountain, 14 nautical miles northwest of Roanoke, Virginia, in conditions of rain, clouds, fog, and zero visibility. The pilot and 4 other passengers were also killed.